The new merch for the month is live, Twitchies, so come get your cutesy Lulu merch. Look at him, he just wants to have fun by terrorizing you on the battleground. And our hacker merch, remember, it's not your fault that you died, they must have been a hacker. Check it out in the description down below and get it while it's still here.
After this, you hear.
Hello everybody, we are here with your Kuzenbo guide. We'll be playing Kuzenbo over in the support role. Kuzenbo can be played in the solo lane, but generically right now, I find warriors to be better in the solo lane, with obviously the notable exception of some gods like Cthulhu. So he can be played over there, but I do find him to be a much better support right now, especially in this kind of like hybrid buildy support meta. So we're going to be starting off with a Guardian's Blessing. We've got an Izanami with us, so we've got really good lane clear. Because we've got really good lane clear, I'm actually going to get a bit aggressive with my build, and I'm going to grab a Blink as my first active, and a Hand of the Gods, of course, with my health potions. If I wasn't going to get Blink, I would be getting Shell, because Shell is an amazing dual lane active, and also you're a turtle, and the role play is fantastic. If I was going to be going defensive with Shell on Kuzenbo, I would get my 1 as my first ability, but because I'm going aggressive, I'm going to get my 3. This 3 is going to pair with our Blink, and we're going to be able to use it very early on over in the dual lane to try to get some high damage, high pressure in the lane. Combined with the Izanami, it is going to be perfect. So what I'm going to try to do here on this very first wave is I'm going to Blink back towards the Neath as soon as I get out of combat from the gap, and then I'm going to push her through all these minions, and he's already down to half HP, and now he's out of position. We force them to use their shell. Bada bing, bada boom. That's exactly what we're looking for. I'm going to keep actually chasing over here. I'm going to body block the Geb right into the wall. Unfortunately, he did interrupt my push right there, but I'm going to keep playing aggressive on this, popping those health potions. Maybe I can get back on him over here. This is a bit greedy on this chase, but not horribly greedy because I can push him through these oracles, which will get us that first blood. And you know what? While we're over here, might as well come grab the oracle. So let's talk about those abilities that we just used to grab ourselves the kill. Our first ability that we leveled up there was our 3. This is our push ability. It is a dash that you can turn at an absolute dime. It used to be really hard to change the direction you were going. With this ability, not anymore. It turns really, really smoothly and easily. It is going to grab an enemy god when you use it on them, and not only will it grab them, you'll be able to push them back, kind of like a Sobek pluck, except for you're literally pushing them in front of you. And if you drag them through neutral or their friendly minions, it will do damage to them up to 3 times. You can also push them in a wall to get one of these damage procs. So if I push them through his own minion wave, up to 3 of those minions will all do this damage per hit. Keep in mind that damage per hit does not activate just by hitting the enemy god with this ability. You have to push the enemy god into something. So if you push him into the wall, you'll get it once. If you push him into the minion wave, you get it up to 3 times. That's why we like that ability at level 1, because it's 80 times 3 on the potential damage. So if we can try to grab somebody, we're not going to be able to get it right there because Neath is backflipping. She is now actively on the lookout for me using that ability. Our ability that we're going to level up, though, to max is going to be our 1. This is our Nene kappa. This ability kind of works like Woojer Ricochet, where it will bounce off of walls. So you can bounce this up to 3 times. The difference is this ability will stop on a god hit. So if I try to bounce this like off these walls to go boom, boom, you see right there, it stops on Geb and it spawns a little kappa. So you can use this ability multiple times through minions, just like Woojer Ricochet. It can bounce up to 2 times off of walls. Geb's getting really aggressive out here. So if I want to like clear this, I can bounce it, boom, boom, boom. It can bounce all around and give me some extra damage in the jungle on these camps or in the lanes against the waves. whatever you're looking for. But if I'm using it against an enemy god, the most time they can ever hit an enemy god is simply once. So if you want to throw it at a god, you're often better off just literally throwing it in a line, because there's no spicy meatball bounces you can do to get bonus damage. So it does the damage, and then it summons a little kappa. That little kappa will sit there and body block as well as deal damage. Not a lot of damage. It's honestly much more annoying for the body blocking aspect and the fact that it chases you down. Also, it is a 20% slow if you hit an enemy god with this ability. So that Nene will kind of just chase them down, and that Nene is just kind of like be hitting them over and over again, attacking them and slowing them. Quite annoying with that Nene. So not a lot of damage, but it provides a little bit of that CC. Provides the body block. Quite nice against hunters, actually, because it can really get in the way of their auto attacks. So for our first item here, we're going to go those Shoes of Focus. Your other option is going to be Reinforced Greaves if you want to be tankier, but Kuzenbo is one of the more aggressive supports, which is why I like him so much. So I recommend playing him a bit more aggressive. So get yourself a little bit of a CDR early. Now that I've got my Guardian's Blessing stacked, I'm free to roam the map. As soon as your Guardian's Blessing stack is done on support, feel free to start roaming the map, help out your mid lane or whatever. It doesn't mean you can't go back to dual lane and help out your hunter. It just means that you are now free to roam the map kind of wherever you want to go. The big thing that you were looking to do has been accomplished. Gonna look for a little bit of pressure here in mid, actually. Not gonna be able to get anything. We'll throw down a little ulti here, try to interrupt this Nox out of her dash. I am gonna be able to interrupt her out of her dash. And Scylla's gonna get a double ulti off this. Absolutely wonderful. I might be able to blink in on this, actually. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to blink before that puts me in combat. I'm going to hit him with the slow, push him into the wall. Unfortunately, not quite going to get the damage from the push. It does force the Thor to beat, though. This is why we like blink so much on Kuzenbo. Our second ability that we have here on Kuzenbo, it's also going to be the ability that we tend to max last, is our Shell Spikes. This is a fantastic ability at the end of the game. In the early stages of the game, it's not that great, but at the end of the game, it becomes a huge part of Kuzenbo's kit. And so what it's going to do is it's going to give you reflect damage. You are going to be reflecting back out the damage that you take, 10 to 30%, which is very nice. And it's also going to give you cooldown on hit. So what that means is while you have this activated, I press my 2, I get these spikes out for a couple of seconds. If I'm hit during that, it's actually going to reduce the cooldowns of my abilities of Nene, Kappa, and Sumo Slam. Those are going to be reduced every time I'm hit. Every iteration of damage by 0.5 to 1.3 seconds. This will immediately let you get back up your abilities in the late game. So what you end up doing is throwing out your 1 and your 3, popping your 2, and then you basically just immediately get it back up, and you can use your 1 and your 3 again, which is awesome. Plus, it's fantastic late game damage against hunters and anybody based off of crits. It's absolutely wonderful. Keep in mind that this ability can be pressed at any time. Not many abilities like this, not many abilities work like this in Smite, but at any time you can press your 2. It does not matter what the situation is. If you press your 2 will go off. Doesn't matter if you're in CC, doesn't matter if you're in whatever. You can literally just press your 2, and this ability is going to be ready to go. It's basically kind of like an Aphrodite ult in that regard. Like, it is always ready to be pressed. Now that I can afford my Gauntlet of Thieves, I'm going to back up and get it. Pretty standard start to our support build on everybody. Reinforced Greaves on our tanky supports, and then into Thebes on our more aggressive supports, the cooldown boots into the Thebes. Thebes, simply too good of an item to not buy. Our ultimate here on our Kuzenbo is a big fat circle around us. Can I hover over Kuzenbo, or is it going to go off instantly? So you can see this circle. This is going to continually knock up targets in the area, as well as continually deal damage to them. Extremely annoying ability to deal with. If you become CC immune, You will stop the knock-up, but you will not stop the damage from this ability. If you Aegis, you will of course stop the damage, but you will not stop the knock-up from this ability. It is going to continue proccing. You gain bonus movement speed while you are in this ability to make it easier to catch up to people. It can also be a nice ability to catch up, so you're in range of using your 3. So you can start to knock people back towards you. I'm still going to look to go aggressive right here. If they're going to keep playing up, I think they want to stay around for this wave, but now I got to go over and help my rat. I'm going to try to blink in and get in range of that. Unfortunately, I blinked in to get the Thor off of him, but then I was not able to get in front of the Neath ultimate. So this is going to do damage on hit, and then it does a little bit less damage after your first hit. It increases your movement speed. You are CC immune while this entire boy is going down, and you can freely move in any direction, so you lose all of that movement penalty. So normally when you try to do the side-to-side movement, you have movement penalty. You will not have any of that while you're inside of this ability. You can see those little bounces right there that we just got to use on Geb. I'm continually knocking him up. I do force him to use his shell. I'm going to pop my 2 to get the reflect, but more important than the reflect is I want the reduced cooldown on my 1. So by Neath hitting me and doing damage, she actually kills her Geb because it refreshes my Nene kappa. That comes back up, and I can kill him with my 1 again, getting the cooldown from that second ability. So our official level order on Kuzenbo is 4, 1, 3, 2. Notably, we got that 3 first, though. We got that 3 first so that we could go for the aggression in the lane at level 1. So on Kuzenbo, you're going to find that I like a little bit more of almost a solo lane style build on him, with the notable exception being that Thebes. I want to go a little bit hybrid here. I want to provide a little bit of extra damage to my team, so I'm going to be going into a Void Stone. It's going to give me a little bit of magical defenses. I'm not super concerned about their magical damage because it's a Nox and a Geb, so we got their support as well as a single target damage dealer. This isn't so much about me getting a magical defense as much as it is about me getting that AoE pen, which is going to help me do more damage, but also it's going to help my Scylla do a lot of damage, and her ultimates have been on point in this game, so I'm pretty confident that he's going to be able to continue hitting those if I can reduce their protections by a little bit by giving him that aura pen. Just going to help the Scylla get even more resets on her ultimate. And isn't that what Scylla's all about? Finally, Kuzenbo's passive. Kuzenbo's passive is a bit of a wordy disaster. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to blink onto Thor. I knew he was going to hammer. And so I blinked, I waited for that hammer, and then I pushed him into the wall. That meant he was CC'd, so he couldn't teleport to his hammer, and he has to just sit there and die. Also, before I mention Kuzenbo's passive, something else I want to make sure I don't forget to mention. Your 2 passive does proc off of minions. So a great way to get your abilities back up on Kuzenbo is to walk up to a minion wave and to start tanking the entire wave. And then press your 2, and then you'll immediately get your abilities back up again, because all of those little minion autos are going to count. They're all going to count for your 2 and give you the reduced cooldown, which is wonderful. All right, so let's get ourselves into this passive. Kuzenbo has a freaking wall of text for his passive, but it is a very nice passive. Every time you take over 2% of your max health worth of damage, pre-mitigations, he is granted stacks of damage mitigation as his head fills with water. I don't think you can actually see it on this skin, which is hilarious because you have a hat on, but you actually do have literally a little spot in your head that fills up with water on the other skin. You can have up to 10 stacks. Those give you 1.5% damage mitigation per stack, which is really, really nice, okay? Those stacks last 30 seconds, and they refresh all the stacks when you gain another one of them. If you are knocked up, grabbed, pulled, banished, or otherwise disrupted, your bowl loses half its stacks. So basically, for all intents and purposes, forms of CC are going to take off those percent mitigations from you. It's going to take away half your stacks. And generically, taking damage is going to build back up those stacks. So you can have a maximum built-in damage mitigation of 15% on Kuzenbo, which is huge, which is why Kuzenbo can get away with going a little bit of a hybrid build and not having to commit to 100% defenses, because he's already got 15% damage mitigations factored into his kit. So right now on my passive meter, you can see that tower hit me. I took some damage. I've got 4 stacks of water bolt, meaning I've got 4 times 1.5% mitigation. 6 stacks, 10 stacks, but then I got knocked up, so took away half my stacks. So you can kind of see how that works in real time. Thank you, Geb, for that wonderful little show and tell. I'm going to dive in on this right now. I'm just going to push this guy right towards my Scylla, hit him with the knockups, just try to keep him disrupted as long as possible for Scylla and Rat to be able to grab the kill. For our standard combinations here in Kuzenbo, you're almost always going to start off with one of the two things. You're going to start off with a Nene kappa if you don't have your blink up, in order to slow down your opponent, so that way you can get in range of the rest of your abilities, or you're going to be starting off with a blink 3 because you are already going to be able to blink behind them and get them out of position by pushing them towards your team. No different than you would trying to pluck somebody at the start of a fight on Sobek to bring them out of position towards your team. Exact same concept. Right after you do one of those two things, you're probably going to be following up with your ultimate. Your ultimate is going to provide a bunch of disruption in the middle of a team fight. Not only that, it is also going to give you CC immunity so you don't get locked down by their entire team, which is super annoying. That means they have no way to basically stop you for sitting there for the next 2.5 seconds and continually knocking up their team, so they can't really auto attack, they can't use channeled abilities, they can't even really use regular abilities. It's a disaster. When you are playing Kuzenbo with that 3, make sure you're turning your camera really hard. The harder you turn your camera, the harder your character is going to turn, and you can turn really, really hard with this ability. So make sure you try to really whip that camera, and then you Nene. All right, that's my only one. That's the only one in this guide. While this entire process is going down, make sure you go ahead and pop your 2 the second you're done disrupting, okay? You don't want to pop your 2 while you are in the middle of the disruption, because if you're throwing them, if you're pushing them, if you're knocking them up, doing all this stuff, there's no point to pop your 2 because you're not going to really be utilizing that reflect damage. So you want to wait until after all of your CC is done and your abilities are on cooldown. That way you actually get the maximum usage out of this ability. I'm gonna throw down my ulti because I don't want Nox to be able to hit me with a combo. Then I'm gonna throw down my 2. Now she's got reflect damage on her, so she actually takes quite a bit of damage from her own abilities right there. I'm gonna push Gab right back into our own team, and then use my body and my Nene as body blocks, trying to get over to Scylla for peel. Unfortunately, I actually got stunned at the exact same time, so I'm not gonna be able to go over there and get the peel for her. Tried to get that shell off, but she died right before I was gonna be able to press it. So no point to waste it. We're gonna back up again. We're gonna go get ourselves. We're not gonna back up again because we're gonna get Thor ulted for absolutely no reason. We're gonna back up. We're gonna grab ourselves another sentry ward. We're gonna get to. We're never gonna back up because Thor is gonna continually interrupt us. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna grab another wave while talking about my next item, which is going to be Pridvin. I'm grabbing a Pridvin on Kuzenbo for those 20% protections, 20% cooldown reduction. On Kuzenbo, I want always to have near max CDR. Think of it like Guan Yu, how you always want max cooldown on Guan Yu. Because your abilities lower your cooldowns, it means that the lower cooldowns you have, basically the more efficient that it is. Same concept with Kuzenbo. Because your 2 is going to reduce the cooldowns at flat rates from your 1 and your 3. This means that if you reduce your cooldowns at a base level, you're just going to be able to keep spiraling through those abilities over and over and over and over again. Not to mention, Pridvin does add another form of CC to your kit after my ulti, on top of the fact that they're all going to be knocked up over and over and over again. Then it's going to give me the shield right when it ends, and then they're going to be slowed again on top of my Nene slow, just adding more disruption to Kuzenbo's kit. If we go look at my protections right now, 161 physical protections, 199 magical protections. This is pretty close to where I like my protections to be, which means I'm going to start focusing a little bit more on things like utility, in HP, and just a little bit more physical defense. Gonna go throw down a sentry ward over here in the fire giant to make sure they don't sneak it, while the rest of the team and I should be getting prepped to go do a gold fury after I get this ward down and clear this out. Speaking of the gold fury, they're walking over to the gold fury probably because they saw me over warding the fire giant.
Ward here.
For Kuzenbo in the team fights, you are a disruptor. You're not really a peeler like Geb is, right? Geb's really looking to help out his backline. Kuzenbo is a W key kind of guy. If you like supports that play like solo laners, then boy golly, have I got the man for you. So this is exactly what Kuzenbo thrives at. There's a Thor diving my backline. That's fine. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to beat him 3v1, right? And I'm going to completely zone out the Neath, the Geb, and the Nox. That is your job. If they hit you, they should take damage. If they try to get near your team, they should be taking damage. Hold down that W key and absolutely ruin the enemy's gameplay experience by making it so they can't actually play the game.
Another patient has fallen.
Coming into the backline once again with our boy Ymir. We're just gonna lay down the auto attack, beat down. I'm looking at the backline, throw down the shell just in case for my Izanami right there, but luckily he's gonna be able to get out. My ultimate comes back up. I might be dead here. I'm gonna get a little Pridvin shield, which actually might keep me alive long enough. It will. I'd like to make a shout out to my Pridvin shield for keeping me alive and allowing me to get out of that mess. So they don't have that much healing, so I don't need to worry about anti-healing, but what I am actually going to get here is a mid-guardian male. I'm going to get this mid-guardian male not because they particularly have a lot of auto attackers on their team, but I need a little bit more physical defenses to bring me right around that 200 protection mark, which I find to be the most efficient amount of protections right now, and it's also going to give me a ton of HP. 300 HP is awesome. Another great item that we can get here that you don't see built very often is a mystical mail. Mystical mail gives you 200 health and 40 physical protection, so a little bit less HP than you're going to get from the mid-guardian mail. But it's a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more in line with the Void Stone. Gonna let you do that extra bleed damage, provide even more pressure on the backline. Plus, it's going to give you a little bit of CCR, which pairs really well with a Spirit Robe, which we'll be getting as our next item after our Mid-Guardian or our Mystical Mail, whatever we decide to go with. I might do the Mystical Mail just for funsies this game, because they don't even have that many auto attackers anywhere. So it end up finding itself in a pretty good spot. Gotta try to just peel off my boys a little bit back here. I've got pretty low HP, so I don't want to be too far forward. So I'm just trying to peel off of all of us, get that Ymir out of there, throw down my little kappa as we run away, and skadoodle. One little fun use of the kappa that you can do is you can kind of use the kappa as a little ward if you want to. You can throw out the kappa kind of deep into the jungle. So if I wanted to throw him like right over there into that corner, I can throw him there and he will stay alive for a couple of seconds, meaning that if somebody were to walk through that section, they would aggro the kappa, and then I would know that they were there. So if I want to throw a kappa out over there because we don't have any vision in that section, kappa will go ahead and stand over there, sit there and he'll be a little mobile ward for us. How nice of him was that? Before he eventually passes away. So I'm going to go into the mystical mail this game just because it's a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more in line with what we are building this match. In a lot of games, though, you're going to find more auto attack damage dealers. This game, it's really only the Neef, so we just don't quite have to build it. That mystical mail going to give me those nice physical protections, which you can see 207 physical, 200 magical. We got the 20 CCR now and about 3k HP. So here at the very end of the build, we're going to be selling our Guardian's Blessing and getting ourselves a Spirit Robe. The Spirit Robe is going to bring us up to 40% CDR. So we're going to be capped out. It's also going to bring us up to 40% CCR. So we're going to have minimal CC on us. And it's going to give us another 15% mitigations when we do get CC'd, meaning that with that plus our passive, we potentially have
Attack left lane.
30% damage mitigations. Of course, those are factored in before your protections. Then we get our protection mitigation, and then we have our nice base HP, really hitting the defense on all fronts while also still being pretty aggressive.
Okay.
For matchups for Kuzenbo, the number one thing you want to pick Kuzenbo into is high physical compositions. Specifically, high auto-attacking compositions. Kuzenbo is the bane of every single hunter. Neith is probably one of the better hunters in the game, actually, against Kuzenbo, because she's such an ability-based hunter. Anybody that ever uses crit in Smite is completely ruined by Kuzenbo. That reflect damage on your 2, reflecting crit, will make sure that they can't auto attack at all if you're standing anywhere near them. So anybody like a Jingwei, like a Mercury, anybody that wants to build crit, it is going to be a disaster. Notably, still really good against gods like Oleron. Oleron a mage, but he does have that crit in his kit, plus the CC immunity that you gain from your ultimate. Super annoying for Oleron to deal with. So what am I doing right now? I am diving in this back line, trying to zone out as many people as I can from this fight. Coming back into the back line to make sure my boys stay alive. Give them a little shell action. Gonna try to grab this Geb, push him back around. Not gonna really be able to get in range. Throw down my Kappa at Neith. Now she has a little Kappa in front of her that she has to auto attack in order to get to the rest of us.
Your team has destroyed a lane.
Bada bing, bada boom. We have a nice little Phoenix fight. You can also use your Kappas for tanking Phoenixes and towers. You won't get the backdoor protections against Phoenixes that minions give you, but he will stand there and he's usually able to tank a couple of Phoenix shots as long as he's in that range first. Knocks his dash. I'm going to blink past him. I think he might have already used his beads, so I'm going to knock him right back to the team. Hopefully we're able to grab that kill, and now we need to start retreating. There's a Thor back here. I'm going to throw my little Kappa back there, so we have vision if he tries to gank our Izanami.
Hey, I'm walking here.
We grab 2 Phoenixes. Our Fire Giant's about to run out. We should be able to back up, no problem. For gods that Kuzenbo doesn't like to go against, he actually doesn't have a whole bunch of gods that he really hates. In general, the one thing that Kuzenbo doesn't like is sustain, which is less to do necessarily with gods and more to do with like team comps and builds and stuff. Kuzenbo really likes to get up in your face and poke you, right? He throws down the Nene, you get a little bit poked. He pops his 2, you auto attack him, you get a little bit poked. He likes to just kind of poke you down, poke you down, poke you down, so that way the rest of his team can eventually all in you. And you're already, you know, having 3-4 people missing 10-20% of their health, which just makes the fight that much easier.
Only the best deserves the best.
So gods that can help sustain the team, a Ra, a Hell, anything like that. Gods that have a lot of natural sustain, like a Camazot or a Thanatos, anybody that can make Kuzenbo's poke kind of null and void is not what he likes to see. He wants that poke to be very annoying for you. He wants it to have an effect on the upcoming team fights.
Say hello to my little friend.
We are currently doing the fire giant. Thor is going up into the air. I'm going to aggro the fire, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shell and preemptively ulti here in the back line to make sure that if Thor would have ultied on top of my team, that he would have been immediately knocked up before he even could have used an ability to try and stop it. Now that we've got the fire giant, we're going to head back down this right-hand side. Going to try to clear up these creeps because we're going to need them. My ultimate is already back up in 20 seconds, which is kind of stupid, honestly, if you ask me. Sheep, I'm going to throw down my Nene. He's going to start tanking this Phoenix for me. I know that her dash is down, so I'm going to go right in on him. I use my 2. What's that going to do? All of a sudden, my abilities are all the way back up. She's forced to beat, and I can walk right on out of here. Chasing through on the Nox now. I'm going to try to get onto the back line, pushing him into the wall. There's his beats. Now I'm going to ulti on top of this Nox, which is going to prevent her from being able to use her dash, as well as Neat being unable to use her backflip because they're constantly being interrupted, and so she's going to die even though backflip was up, and we're going to be able to bring down this Titan at a nice 30-minute marker. 4-0-12 on Kuzenbo, and I bet we provided a pretty decent amount of damage as well overall to these team fights. So to recap, your job overall on Kuzenbo is to provide chaos into the team fights. That chaos comes in the form of small poke to make sure the enemy is a little bit withered before the actual full team fight commit starts, as well as interrupting their backline, preventing them from getting the most efficient damage off. So you're constantly knocking them up, standing in front of them, slowing them, pushing them back, providing body blocks to kappas. And you can see that we still did 17,000 damage, with the most on our team being Ymir at 21, while also mitigating 36,000 damage, guys. And that is your Kuzenbo support, guys.